Welcome to the Surviving BPD Relationship Breakup Podcast with your host, counselor, and trauma recovery coach, ajmahari. AJ has over 30 years experience specializing in recovery from BPD relationship breakups and offers expert knowledge, in-depth understanding delivered with compassion and empathy. To purchase and book sessions with AJ Mahari, please visit ajmahari.ca. Welcome to the show. Here's your host, AJ Mahari.
Just a note at the beginning of this podcast episode that unfortunately this really miserable cold that I have, that's at times taking away my voice, so we're going to hope that doesn't happen now, is going to have to be part of this listening experience. And I apologize for that. The very first step to surviving the BPD relationship breakup is what? Dun, 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 dun. Wait for it. Because it's sort of obvious, but not really. That you have to have accomplished the breakup part of the BPD relationship breakup. And what do I mean by that? Maybe many of you already know. Maybe you're relating to this, but let's make it conscious. I want to put it out there in a way that is palpable and obvious for you to help you. Not saying because maybe lots of people know this, maybe lots of people haven't realized it yet. Because as I'm working with clients, and have been for almost 33 years now, in surviving the BPD relationship breakup, the NPD relationship breakup, and the healing of codependence, and etc. Wow, so many people are looking at all kinds of information online, right? And if you find me and you resonate with me, my information hopefully is helpful, and I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you. Whether you're looking into both narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, because you didn't know what that was before, like so many people don't until they encounter it. Even if you had a borderline or narcissistic parent, but you didn't realize that. So there's a lot of retrospective understanding and building of awareness that needs to then intersect with your increasing your emotional literacy and emotional EQ, emotional intelligence, understanding the landscape of your emotions, and understanding and learning more about how to relate to yourself in healthier, more functional, relational ways, which people with codependency don't learn in childhood. That's part of the woundedness of codependency. To survive the BPD relationship breakup, the first step is to actually be in breakup status that lasts, that sticks, that isn't this on-off, recycle, or the revolving door BPD codependent relationship from where, but you just got to be with this person, and you just got to get that person back that you thought they were, that they never were, and they never will be. And this is who you're loving too. So if you're still, can't do everything at once, right? People are going to still be loving that person who you thought they were. Many people have been in marriages with a person with BPD, or maybe NPD even, or comorbidly both, for 10, and still some older people, not some, 25, 30 years of marriage, and it all blows up way down the road. This is a really key core tenet of all this, of understanding that so many people were in a relationship with somebody with BPD or NPD, but I'll focus mainly on BPD here, but they are somewhat interchangeable, not in that the BPD and NPD are the same thing, but that I have equal understanding of each personality disorder and what happens in them for people with codependency and what it takes to survive these relationship breakups. But the number one thing is that the breakup has to actually have occurred. And what do I mean by that? You might have been ghosted. You might have been discarded. You might have been even monkey branched, and they're on with someone else, but then they come back and they hoover you, and so now you're recycling. So recycling, or the on-off patterns of BPD relationships, and to some degree narcissistic personality disorder ones as well, and the revolving door, a situationship type deal, they're not exactly the same thing. So they may sound like just different ways to say the same thing. But I work with clients who come to work with me, and if I resonate with you, I'm not here to work with you, who are definitely not at stage 1 of readiness to start working on healing from the BPD relationship or NPD relationship breakup, because the breakup in effect has not been finalized. So don't let that worry you. Don't think, well, because I might be in the revolving door situation or recycling or on-off situation, or I've been ghosted again, but they're coming back, or I hope they will, or I'm going to reverse Hoover, or they're hoovering you. All of these sort of limbo, intermediate, kind of like, it's not really a breakup, is it? But did they break up with me or not? Because, yeah, they're not here now. Oh, she's with somebody else. He's been cheating on me. He's with somebody else. Wait a minute. Oh, it's definitely got to be over then, isn't it? No, none of this defines the BPD or NPD relationship breakup, as I think many of you out there might really relate to. Step 1, and not step 1 before you reach out, at least to work with me, by the way. You don't have to get all this somehow changed in your life, because this is why people need help in the first place. So if you're in the revolving door recycling or on-off situations of limbo, in between, been ghosted, you're in agony, ruminating, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to survive this is really complicated and painful, then please know I can only speak for myself. I work with clients wherever you are at right now, even if you still want the ex back, or they're coming back, or all of what I just said, those different scenarios. So I don't want you to hear, because please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying you first need to establish that you are grounded in the actual finality of a breakup before you should seek help. Not at all. But this is what I finally identified in a way to just articulate it like this. I mean, I've been working with clients for almost 33 years, as I mention often, but just as a reminder, or for people that are listening new, to know. In all this time, sometimes it just occurs to me, wow, wait a minute, this needs to be articulated because of all that's going on and what people are experiencing, and all the various different processes of helping people to heal and recover from BPD and NPD relationship breakups and codependency, family of origin, all that woundedness, etc., to become independent individuals who can then break the pattern of these unhealthy bonds and the reasons why. You might not have just had one relationship with one borderline. You might have had a relationship with a narcissist and a borderline. And this is many people's experience, and people don't know at the time until maybe you do, and then maybe you still don't have a breakup that is a final breakup. And many people get to the place where the breakup is finally a breakup. But make no mistake about it, this is step 1 in surviving the BPD or NPD relationship breakup. It has to end at some point. So please don't wait until that point if you're in those other scenarios I mentioned, in sort of what I just called the limbo place of, I'll just say it again quickly, on-off, revolving door, or ghosted, not sure, recycling. So none of those scenarios, which many people are involved in right now experiencing, or that painful rumination that just leads you to watch their social media, the stealth reverse Hoover, leads you to reverse Hoover them. You just got to text them. You got to try to get their attention, and you're wondering, should I do this? Should I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? Which I don't think is really helpful if those of us who have genuine expertise in this area, meaning to denote from many on YouTube in particular that don't, but pretend they do, who recommend fervently that they can help you get your ex back with all kinds of things, like especially the exploitation of men in really vulnerable times of incredible pain and woundedness, when you've just been subsumed and devoured and annihilated by that borderline or narcissistic woman. And then some guy out there, there are guys out there that are talking to a lot of you men out there who are in some stage of the BPD relationship or NPD relationship breakup. They're trying in a relationship with somebody with BPD, a woman, and getting really devastatedly hurt and blindsided, etc. And all that you might be feeling right now, or you have felt wherever you are with this, there's nothing about your masculinity a question with this. But what I'm speaking specifically to are some of the self-appointed experts out there, because, maybe they have an excellent BPD, but does that mean that they're doing much better than you might be doing right now? Does that mean that they really know how to help you heal? Often, no. And many of these men popping up now, maybe all over the place, but I've seen a couple on YouTube. They might be all, across the internet. I don't know. I don't have time to look everywhere. But my point is, they're advocating and they are pouncing on men at very vulnerable moments with this kind of speak. Well, guys, if you want to get that X back, I can help you do that, they'll say. And they want to give you the impression that they can do that no matter what, because sometimes it's doable, sometimes it's not. Is it good for you? Is it what you should? Is it what's going to be healthiest for you? No. But some people have to try at least once more, if it's the second time, before they're going to realize or learn a little bit more about why not to do that again. Some people have to do it quite a lot of number of times. But the point is, so these men out there, I've seen a few of them, with YouTube channels or perhaps elsewhere on the internet, which, whatever they're doing, and if people resonate with them, that's people's business. But I'm here to say, if you resonate with me, be careful. And this is particularly a message for men who've been with a woman, or you still are, or you're not sure on, all those scenarios. And the breakup really isn't a breakup with finality yet. And for some people, they're in a breakup with finality, but still not accepting that, or not sure. Something that really hurts men, when the message to men is, don't feel, don't express your feelings, don't let the woman, it's weak if the woman knows how you feel, it's weak if the woman sees that you're in pain. This is what these people are actually trying to say is going to help men coming out of, or trying to get out of, the various iterations of what's called the BPD or NPD relationship breakup. And I just find that really aberrant, and I'm passionate, but I can't do anything about it, because for some men that will fall prey to that, it's tragically unfortunate, because they're going to get hurt a whole lot more. Hopefully, they will then hightail it away from those types of men, because it's men in particular doing this to men, unfortunately. And if not my message or resonating with me or wanting to work with me, but like someone else, for crying out loud, because some people out there are just really going to re-wound and be taking advantage of people. And maybe they mean to help. Maybe they're not intentionally trying to take advantage, but hard to say. So anyway, the number one step to surviving a BPD relationship breakup, main focus on this podcast, but also, or an NPD relationship breakup, is actually getting yourself into help, even if you're in the recycling, the revolving door, or the just ghosted, not sure, on off, back forth, not done. What's happening here is reaching out to get into a process whereby I know when I work with clients, I can help you to work through where you're at, what you're experiencing, learn more about why, awareness, about choices that you have available to you, whether you still feel like you need to try to pursue getting that ex back, you're still in that limbo place, you're still part of a revolving door situationship, or an on-off, or a recycling one. Because the point is, I'm out here to work with people in any of these iterations of what's happening, because even if I've had clients come and work with me for a bit and we get some work done and it helps them to deal with what they're dealing with now in the quote BPD relationship breakup or quote NPD relationship breakup, unquote, that isn't really quite that yet. So there's a lot of moving pieces to the complexity of what does it mean even to be at the point of a BPD or NPD relationship breakup. Because, generally speaking, a breakup means the end and then coping with that and moving forward. And when people break up with other people, whether you break up with them or they break up with you, but if it's not a borderline or a narcissist and you are not, significantly codependent, or maybe your codependence isn't as significantly impacting you if you had a relationship with somebody that wasn't BPD, NPD, because I've had many clients describe to me, depending on their age, how many relationships they might have had. But I've had 3 or 4 or 5, 7, whatever it is, relationships before these 2 or 3 with, I think, cluster B. And I never went through all this at the breakup, because these breakups are not even definitive often, as this is the point of this episode here in this podcast, for people to really be aware, really bring this into your awareness of thinking, wherever you are in whatever aspect of the BPD or NPD relationship breakup that you're still in. So the key thing is to know that I can only speak for myself. I can help you if you resonate with me to work through all those other 3 kind of situations of, quote, BPD or NPD relationship breakups, unquote, that aren't really at the actual, you're ready to kind of turn that corner and get busy focusing and learning how to focus on yourself and working through and getting to that healing, because there's probably still a lot more that, as I know, I've worked with so many clients over the years where this is true, there might be a lot more that you need to know about your own individual situation, relationship, the breakup, where is it at? Is it really over? Isn't it? All these iterations based on your own individual circumstances, your own individual experience, and to what degree you have codependency, whether you're aware of that yet or not, and to what degree the woundedness and impact of codependency from childhood to adulthood is impacting, high correlation, by the way, why you can't break away or the breakup can't last just yet, when that really is what's healthy and what people need to be able to work toward. So sometimes the first step, even when you reach out for help in a healing recovery process to the BPD or NPD relationship breakup, is simply, wherever you're at with whatever's going on with that, working in the process to gain more awareness, understanding, and yeah, I think I educate a lot of people about various aspects of what they're experiencing, that because you're in so much pain, it's so confusing, you might have been blindsided, and people can't really think straight. And I'm not saying, so you should know all this, or I'm not trying to insult you if you don't know what I'm kind of alluding to yet, because people get there when they are ready to get there. And for some people, that really takes quite a while. And there's many reasons for that. And the best way that I know how to help people with that, aside from my YouTube channel, podcasts, etc., is working with people one-on-one, where we can really get into your personal childhood experience, woundedness. Why do you have codependency? How did you end up in a relationship with this person with BPD or NPD, or maybe a few different people over time in different relationships? And then, what do you need to know more about, process, understand, ask more questions about, that might help you to then realize what's holding you back, what's blocking you, why are you still not in the finality of actually the first step to really healing and recovery, which is the finality of an actual breakup. So it's now past tense, that relationship, even though it doesn't feel like it, because I also have clients that come to me when they are determined, and even sometimes they go down the slippery slope again, that there are some people I work with that they definitely know, I've had it, that's it, I'm done, I can't anymore. But it doesn't mean that they don't share still the same feelings, ruminations, lostness, and agony of not having at all moved forward from still the sense of wanting that back, or to understand it or make sense out of it, but knowing, as some people are in this phase, this place of knowing that they can't do it again, because they really believe that, and for some people this is so true, if you do it one more time, revolving door, recycle, on, off, you just might not survive it, because it's breaking people down, men or women, but especially men, and I say that with all due respect, because men are still not given the opportunity in a way that it would be best for little boys to be given in childhood, not like girls, but In many men's cases, they didn't in childhood as boys learn how to be okay or feel safe with any emotion. And there still is that message out there that, quote, real men don't cry, unquote, which is, please don't adhere to that. And those kind of messages, like men aren't supposed to show their vulnerability, men aren't allowed to feel. And I know that many of the clients I've worked with, because I work with sort of like 90 or 95% males as clients. I do have female clients as well, and you're welcome if you're a woman listening to this and you resonate with me. Of course I will work with women too, but I work mainly with men, so I've learned a lot from working with men for almost 33 years, because I'm not a man, obviously, but I've learned so much about their experience, and in the process of helping them to heal and recover, and all that that involves. And for some men, it's a struggle to get to their feelings. And it's a struggle to be able to actually feel the pain and be able to cry and learn more about what was your birthright. Men, as young boys, your birthright was to know who you are, to know what your feelings are, and to be able to feel them without any message of society that that's not being a man. And many men don't even have this issue and can access their feelings. But I just wanted to say that when I first started out doing this work, helping people heal from these relationships and codependency and family of origin, etc., that it was really hard for me not to, and I still sometimes will, just cry when a man finally gets to his feelings, if that's a particular struggle, as it is for some of my male clients, not all. Because that is such a moment. How the client experiences it is one thing, but when I'm helping men, and maybe some women have difficulty with this too. I've had clients, female clients, that do have this difficulty with their own feelings and getting there as well. Assess it, like being able to really feel that. Because when you have the woundedness of codependency, and then you've been really devastated and hurt on top of that by a borderline or a narcissist, whether you're a male or a female, and whether it's a heterosexual or lesbian or gay relationship or what have you, that many women also, even though they have a little bit more capacity often because, again, of the socialization differences in childhood between girls and boys, of managing maybe their emotions a little bit better, even if they're not actively feeling them. So the point to all this really is that you need to start somewhere in starting a healing and recovery or exploration process of how can you get to stage one if in fact you're not there yet, of surviving the BPD or NPD relationship breakup, which is that it's actually something that you now know, which many of you listening to this might not know yet, which is okay. You are wherever you are. Working toward making the breakup actually be an ending. And that's something that even when people get to that point, the only difference between all of you who might listen to this and you're like, I'm not there yet. No, it's not a final breakup. I don't know what to do. I don't want to accept that it's got to end, or that it will end, or that it's likely to end. I still want it to work out. That the difference between those of you in various places with that kind of feeling still being really prevalent, understandably, and you might still be in the shock of just being ghosted, or all kinds of different iterations, that it's really important to know. It's hard for me to convey this message in such a general way, right, as opposed to one message specifically to one aspect. But yes, the major difference between those of you who will relate to, I don't want it to be over yet, or I got to try again, or she's going to contact me because it's a recycling pattern or whatever. The major difference between people that are still in those cycles and that place of, quote, the BPD relationship break up, unquote, and people who know that they're had it, they can't do it anymore, they can't stand it, it's just too much. The only difference between the two groups, if I can just say Those who don't know if the relationship, or you can't accept yet that it might be over, it needs to be over, would be healthier for you. And the people that have accepted that part, that's essentially the only difference between people in the various different iterations of this, because nobody, even when people get to the BPD or NPD relationship breakup is now officially over. In other words, I'm done with it. You know, the recycling, the limbo, the revolving stuff, the on-off. Well, when people get to that point, often they are still in the rumination, the agony, the pain, almost, not quite, but almost to the same degree that people who are still in all those other iterations of, quote, breakups that really aren't in any way final breakups. What does all this really mean? I think it's really important to put this out here to say it means a lot, but for me to quantify what it means specifically, I can't, because I don't know who's listening. For each person that listens, that's a question for you to think about. How do you quantify where you are in trying to survive a BP or NPD relationship breakup? Because what is the status or your understanding of what, quote, breakup, unquote, means? And when people get to the understanding that they're done, that is one step further, like the first step to getting into the actual more or less moving into the healing, which is a transition there when people come to me to work with me before they're at that step, which is the first step, as I said, of surviving the BP or NPD relationship breakup, is that it's actually done. That part, that you know you can't go back, even though you still feel like you want to. That's the point I'm trying to make. The differentiation here for you to assess where you're at is whether or not you're at that place where you're like, I can't do this again, and I need help to make sure I don't do it again. Or whether you might want to work with me if you resonate with you because you're at that place of, I don't know, I think I want them back. I don't know what's going on. It's very unsettled. I'm very confused. I feel one way one minute, one way the next. So the breakup isn't really final. But so that transition, working with someone like whoever you choose, or if you resonate with me, working with me at that point, I can help you to process and to look at and to answer all your questions about what you've been through individually with this borderline or narcissist in your life, what's happening, where you're at, why you're feeling. We delve into so much of you and what's happening in your life and what happened in your childhood, etc., to be able to help you to transition from on-off, revolving door recycling, not sure that the breakup is really a breakup yet, and to transition into where some other people are, and might be that are listening to this, having all the same feelings as people who haven't got to, I can't do this anymore, even though it still feels like I want to, because that's the first step towards that transitional phase from all of the going back and all the iterations to really starting to build, and often the beginnings of working toward no contact, and building the solidification that the BP or NPD breakup that you need to survive has actually finally occurred in a way that even though you're emotionally probably not feeling this yet, you logically in your head know, because the cognitive dissonance is still happening, you know in your head you can't hack this one more friggin' time. You just know you are exhausted. You are, maybe you feel demolished. Maybe you feel broken, ruined, wrecked, trashed. And I'm not putting any of those words on people. People will describe it that way themselves. So whatever resonates for you. So the number one stage of really being able to heal, start to really heal the BPD and survive the BPD or NPD relationship breakup, is getting to the stage where it really is, at least logically, a definitive finality of what breakup means. because you will not feel that way, but you will know, if I do this again, I don't know I can survive it. I can't take it anymore. Some people are just exhausted and depleted and lost themselves. Maybe it's a lot of anxiety. Maybe it's a lot of avoidant behaviors. Maybe people have started to drink, use substances, act out in other ways because you just are in so much pain you don't know which way to turn, and you can't stop thinking about them. So none of these emotional aspects of the reality of this agony are the benchmark to actually understanding whether or not you've achieved stage 1, which is the breakup needs to stick and be final. And let me just say again, to reiterate, you will not feel that way when and if you're there now, or when you get through that transition, whether working with me or someone else, or not seeking help yet because you're still wanting them back. The two things don't have to be either or. It's really important to understand this because I hope this is helpful, because I don't know why I've never articulated it this way before. I'm not saying this is, unique under the sun or the best thing in the world, but I think it might help people to hear it clearly put that way, as unclear as some of my verbiage was here, to try to accommodate any listener who might be in, many of you in various different iterations of this process, as I said. Just know that whether you have a strong sense logically in your head, because at this point you need to follow your head, not your heart. In that cognitive dissonance, you need to follow the knowing part, the head part, not the, but I feel this way and I need that, and that, all of that understandable agony of emotion that's just all over the place with the rumination and what happened here, and the lostness that people feel, and devastation and beyond. So really key to understand what applies to you. Which iteration of this, quote, breakup, unquote, are you really in? And if you're still in any other iteration besides at least logically knowing this has to stop, I can't do it anymore, in your head, even though you might not feel differently yet, you may still want them back, you may really be missing them, and it's terrible, this pain. It's really key that you assess where you're at. And don't wait until you're in, that the breakup has to be a breakup finally now, before you reach out for help. So the first stage and step, not necessarily in reaching out for help, but in the transitional phase of getting to really surviving and starting to really work on you and move and focus on you, which is what I want to do with clients whenever they're ready for that in the process, to help you to start to really survive and heal from the BP or NPD relationship breakup, as well as codependency, etc. Because the first step is the working toward no contact and the understanding that even though you feel emotionally vastly all over the place, different and not sure, something in your head says, I'm done. And this breakup is now done. Or they moved on so far, or it's been so long and you haven't heard back, even though they had a ghost and come back, recycle kind of pattern, then now you're really stuck in this place of, well, they're just not coming back. Whatever that time frame might be, that can lead people to feeling so lost and so panicked. So it might seem in a way circular what I said here because of all the iterations and consideration I'm trying to give to people who are listening, but maybe in all different places, right, of where you're at with this. And the key core message here, again, just to summarize quickly, is that the first step to the actual transitional going toward really starting to get through how to break the rumination, pardon my cold, how to break the rumination, how to start making some changes, going toward no contact if you're not already no contact, and how to start to create and accept and work through the finality of the actual stage where the breakup is a breakup. And that's the number one step to surviving. the BPD or NPD relationship breakup. So please forgive me for not only the cold, part of the listening experience here, but also because I wanted to try to reach a collective amount of listeners with some modicum of an individual message, which is an almost impossible thing to do. So that's what I endeavored to do here. But I hope that there was some takeaway for you that gives you maybe a little bit more of a sense of awareness to where are you with this? What are you still really wanting and or pursuing versus what maybe you stopped doing and pursuing, but you still may feel you want? Yes. Step 1 of the BPD or NPD relationship breakup and surviving it and starting to heal from it is knowing and accepting that there's an end there, from which you now have to find your way through a lot of pain, a lot of grief, a lot of things that go back to family of origin that's correlated with how and why you are where you are right now. You got into this relationship because you didn't do it on purpose and you didn't do it consciously. People with codependency through that wounded inner child are going to find the cluster Bs that are going to seem fantastic in the beginning, but they're going to break you to some extent or other because they're going to trigger what's been held in your unconscious since childhood, your codependency, your woundedness, your need to know yourself better, which you deserve, your need to know that you matter, and that your need to understand how to create your own self-esteem and self-worth, and that you have worth simply because you are you. Not because you do this and do that and try to fix and rescue and please all these other people or this partner or this on and off or the borderline acts or the narcissistic acts or and the inner child in each of you is unconsciously unknown to you. So please maybe take this in. Maybe you know this, but take it in as new awareness. Think about it if it's new for you. The inner child is seeking through codependent repetition compulsion cycles unconsciously, so you don't know this, but a partner that in spite of their attractability to you and all of that, a partner that is going to present you more to the point your wounded inner child with the same circumstance or very similar to the wounding you experienced that created codependency from your family of origin, that has all to do with a parent or parents in one way or another, not the same for everybody. This is the silver lining in the agony of it all, is coming to recognize, be aware of the codependency and how you really got there. Because it helps people, and I help people with that when I work with them as well. It's like steps and stages, right, of where people are at when they seek out sessions with me to begin with. And then the goal is to work through things, because so much of how to survive the BPD or NPD relationship breakup is not only A, getting to the broken up point, at least knowing that in your head, but secondly, it's also about learning and becoming more aware. And some people are really aware, but then there's still something they need to emotionally learn, if that makes sense, to start to reframe and understand what needs to be reframed and how to heal that wounded inner child and other aspects of this process of healing and recovery that you really do need to work with somebody to be able to journey through for yourself in the most sensible but complete, helpful, not more painful way of learning how to know yourself better, increase your emotional literacy, understand your feelings, your emotional landscape, identify your emotional boundaries and other boundaries and implement them, become the individuated, independent individual that your family of origin unfortunately didn't foster your ability to become due to unmet needs in your childhood and or whatever created the codependency for you. So many people believe that they need to get over somehow, or heal and recover from the borderline or the narcissist first, when actually it's a tandem sort of multifaceted process, but you need to be working with somebody to be starting to look at your history in childhood and what is the core of your codependent woundedness, and starting to work on that sometimes simultaneously with still working on, is this breakup final with the borderline or the narcissist, and all the rumination and all the other things that you're still palpably wanting to understand that borderline or narcissist more, and why did this happen, and why did that happen, and what did I do, and all of that really painful stuff that people just are swept away by and encapsulated in, which just only magnifies your pain even more day by day. And so this process is really underscored by the reality, as I've seen it unfold for so many clients over so many years. It is the duality of not only working on and understanding and talking a lot about the X, or you're working to make them your X for sure this time, BPD or NPD, but it's about that healing of your core woundedness, because it will take so much of what you're suffering that you think is all from the borderline or the narcissist. It will take a lot of that away. Like, you'll be able to heal that, and then that helps the rumination. That helps to diminish the excessive focus on the X, because it's not it's not like you just get over the X and then maybe you can heal your codependency. Or, it's more you need to be working at a deeper level at the same time, because it's working back to move forward that helps with the here and now of how hurt you really were by the borderline or the narcissist in the relationship, which may or may not yet be officially a breakup. But so many people have the mistaken idea or understanding, or lack of understanding, that they just need to get over this borderline or narcissist first and never mind everything else. Because you can't even do that, truthfully, without doing the underpinning work that actually creates the relief from the pattern of why you're so focused on the cluster B, on and off, or now X. I hope that was helpful. It was a bit verbose, I apologize, but it was the best way that I could say everything I needed to try to condense, and it's not that condensed. But anyway, I hope it was helpful, and I hope it gives you food for thought. And as I've said probably too many times, but as a reminder, of course I'm out here to work with you, if I resonate with you, because it is my passion and mission to help people to heal from the BPD, NPD, and survive the BPD, NPD relationship breakup, but also out of all of the ashes of that agony, to help you to find the you that you've never really fully known before from childhood woundedness, and to come home to that self in an integrated whole way. That is just the most astounding thing when people realize through this healing and recovery process, when they get to, it's not a destination, but it is sort of where the process is destined to go, and then you move forward with your life in a way that you might not have even imagined you ever could as an independent person, the person that you were fully meant to be, that some childhood woundedness interfered with, or really adverse experience in your childhood interfered with. And so people sell themselves short if they don't start this process just from wherever you are right now. And if you don't work with somebody, because invariably then people, if the borderline or narcissist is no longer available and you're still in that looping, I have put enough verbiage to it, then what people invariably do is they rush on to the next relationship, and it's the next cluster B, and it's just more and more devastation. And make no mistake about it, people on this side of cluster Bs, your side of cluster Bs, more often than people think, don't actually survive the BPD or NPD relationship breakup. Some people succumb to taking their own life. And this is why it might be a little more urgent than you even might realize in your own individual situation. What's at stake for you? How close might you be to that limit? Or are you already over it, but you're still hanging in there and you're fighting, but you're maybe not sure what you're fighting for anymore? Freedom, the process of healing, which is a bit daunting, and accepting this relationship is over, or still needing or wanting them back. But either way, you are lost to yourself. It's self-sacrifice, and it's you, unconsciously and not intentionally, not being able to rescue the one being in your life that you can rescue, your wounded inner child inside. So actually, it's a self-rescue of sorts. Take care.
You've been listening to the Surviving BPD Relationship Breakup Podcast. Our passion is to bring expert information for people that are hurt or traumatized by someone with BPD. We truly hope you've gotten something from the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And for more or get sessions with AJ, go to ajmahari.ca. See you next time.